everybody. How's it going out there? My name is Sam LaFrancois of Premier Paralegal, aka your favorite divorce professional. And we're going to get into today's topic. But before I begin, I want to say anything you hear in this video is strictly informational. It discusses divorce procedure and it tends to be quite helpful. It's very factual. And I would dare anyone to compare it to what you're being told by either the court or your attorney. And with that said, speaking of attorneys, if you've hired someone, listen to what they instruct you to do. You can question them, you can interrogate them, but you need to follow their advice, because if you paid them, you need to work with them. If you retain our services, then we could discuss that on a separate note. But today's topic came in hot off the presses because someone called in today and they asked me, why is my divorce taking so long? I paid all the money, my spouse signed, and I thought it'd be done by now. That's a great question, because I understand as a person who is probably getting divorced for the only time in their life, or maybe for the second time of their life, or believe it or not, I have great people I've met that have been divorced 3, 4, 5, or up to 7 times. Yes, 7. But that's only 1 or 2 people, but they're great nonetheless. You tend to wonder how long this process will take. And when you don't know, it feels like it goes on forever. It's similar to what I say when you're going to a new location, when you're visiting a friend or visiting a new place for the first time. The first time you go there, it tends to take the longest. And then every other time after that, you kind of know the route, you know the routine, so it's an easier commute. But in this case, we're talking about divorce, and hopefully it'll just be the one time. So why does it take so long? It's pretty simple. It looks different from different perspectives. For example, if you had an attorney or if you use a divorce professional like us, we look at it in 2 stages. We look at it from the stage whereas you met us, we prepared the paperwork, it was filed, your spouse signed or got served. We'll discuss getting served on another point, on another video rather, and then you sign the final documents and those documents go to the court. That's the first stage. The second stage is the waiting part. Why do I say the waiting part? Because there's nothing that we can do. We have to wait. Just like you, we have to wait. Don't let anyone sell you on the fact that they have clout or they have ways that they can get your divorce done any faster than the majority of people. Okay? There are exceptions, but most people don't qualify for those exceptions. Now, you may look at it from this stage. In your mind, there were perhaps 2 stages. The very first one didn't include us, which is you making the tough decision to get divorced. Okay? That was its own stage. It may have taken weeks, months, or even years to come to that decision. And then after that, you hire someone that you hope is good, and then you go through the process with them, and then you go through all the paperwork, the interviews, you wait for phone calls and emails up until the day that you're told the divorce has been granted. Okay? So those tend to be 2 long stages. And it's important that you understand everyone involved is looking at it differently. Even the court is looking at it differently. They don't know anything about you until we first bring the paperwork to them. So they're looking at it from a standpoint of, okay, this is just another judgment to sign. Okay, you're important to me, you're obviously important to yourself, but the court doesn't look at you any different than the hundreds upon thousands of other filings that come in on a routine basis. So the first thing is to understand it comes to you in various stages, depending on what your position is. You as the person being divorced and me as a divorce provider. So that's first. The next thing I'll tell you to consider is, did you ask the person that prepared the divorce for you? What did they say? At Premier Paralegal, we like to give people an estimated turnaround time in the beginning when we first discuss the matter with them. And then towards the end, when we deliver to them the final set of papers that reflect what was filed in the court, we inform them as to what the clerk told us. Because the clerk is 1 step below the judge. They know the mind, they know the patterns, and they know the routine of the judges in the court better than anyone else. So whenever they tell us the estimated turnaround time, and notice I said estimated turnaround time, it tends to go according to that. So we don't make it up. We give you what the court told us. And that's what you would expect anyone who does or who assists you with your divorce to share with you. The word from the horse's mouth, and the horse being the court, okay? So it's important that you sit back and remind yourself of what you were told as to how long the divorce was going to take, or ask. Ask once, ask twice, ask 3 times. If you paid someone to help you, they should at least guide you as to how to get this done in terms of finding out how much longer it's going to take. As a matter of fact, look at a future video, maybe even tomorrow, where I'm going to give you a brief demonstration as to how to check the status of your own divorce. I think that's a good thing. We're going to do that tomorrow. We're going to discuss how to check the status of your own divorce. But all right, back to today. Back to today. I love this stuff. Back to today. So, did you ask the person? Make sure you ask them. So that's next on the list. I think you should also understand that after me doing this for over 15 years, I can clearly tell you that even though all the courts, it's called the Unified Court System in the state of New York, the courts tend to have different characteristics, and what do I mean? Brooklyn, the court system in Brooklyn can take a little bit longer than the Bronx. The Bronx has a reputation for being notoriously backlogged with divorces. And they tend to be doing a little bit better over the past year or so, but they still have a reputation. Whether it's accurate or not is a different story. But they have a reputation for having the longest delay in getting divorces done. Queens, similar to the Bronx. Staten Island, I'm not too familiar with, but I was told it has a so-so reputation. What am I missing? Manhattan. Okay, money-making Manhattan. Many people tend to try to file their divorces in Manhattan because they've always had the reputation of being the most efficient, right? You go into Manhattan to get things done, right? Especially if you live in New York, you know that how that supposed philosophy or rule exists, that unspoken rule. If you need something serious to get done, you go to Manhattan. I don't know if that's true, but when it comes to the courts in Manhattan tend to be pretty good. The clerks there are friendlier, they tend to be more efficient, and I mean, no hate and nothing against the other courts, but our experience, 90% of the divorces we file are in the New York County court, and they tend to be great people. They're very helpful, informative, and they can kind of walk you through the process in a great way. But I'll say the people that are behind the paperwork, the people that are behind the counters play a role in how fast your divorce gets done. Because understand, there's more than one person involved in the process in the courts. It goes through clerks, it goes to judges, it goes to another clerk. It has to be entered into different computer databases. And then finally, you're informed that the divorce is done. So just be mindful that depending on which borough your divorce was filed in, it can play a great role into determining the length of time it would take for the divorce to get done. Now, you waited this long, let me let you know, based on my experience in New York County, the divorces, once everything is filed and we're waiting for the judge to sign, it takes roughly 12 to 16 weeks, okay? 12 to 16 weeks, not bad. 3 to 4 months for the divorce to be completed. Sometimes a little longer, sometimes it's a little shorter, but that tends to be the turnaround time. But I'll say to you this, at the end of the day, you have to understand and be fair. You're not the only one getting divorced. There are tons upon tons, or shall I say document upon document being filed in the court. And not only divorces, right? The one court isn't just made for divorce. It's made for so many other legal matters as well. And sometimes your judge is a human being. He or she can get busy, be delayed with a trial, they can get sick, or anything can happen. Anything under the sun. Oh, holidays, a legal holiday. In my belief, one federal holiday, one day of the court being closed is equivalent to them being behind at least 2 days. And if it's the holiday season like Christmas or the Jewish holidays like Hanukkah or any holiday, as a matter of fact, if the court is closed, it has a significant impact on delaying of your divorce getting done. But I have a few tricks for you. You guys help me to decide that tomorrow I'm going to show you how to look up and check the status of your own divorce, and perhaps that'll give you a bit more peace of mind. That's it for today. This is what I'd like you to do. Comment. Some people commented on my beard and say I should get a shave. Other people said, I like your beard. That looks pretty cool and natural. I don't know. I'm going to get a shave soon, but that's not the point. Subscribe. I've been getting more subscribers dripping in day by day, and I appreciate all of you for doing so. Email me. I've gotten tons of emails. For those who don't want to subscribe, you can email me directly at info@premierparalegal.com. Or you can go to our website, premierparalegal.com. Our email is info@premierparalegal.com. Our website is premierparalegal.com. And Premier is spelled P-R-E-M-I-E-R, because I had questions about the spelling too. That's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was informative. I hope it was helpful. Give me a couple likes. That definitely helps encourage my spirit. And until tomorrow, love life. It's the only one you have.